Welcome to Community Talk, a public affairs presentation of the MSA United Way and Super Talk 1270. Now your host, Jenna Gullo.
Good morning, Bismarck Mandan. Thanks for joining in to United Way's Community Talk. A special thank you to Town Square Media, to Jim Walsh, and to Super Talk 1270 for allowing us this airtime every other week. You can find us right here every other Tuesday from 11 to noon. So, co-hosting with me today is Ms. Amber Jensen, the operations manager at United Way.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us.
You know, people can get involved right away today in helping at-risk mothers through United Way. Tell us about the Women's Leadership Circle activities, Amber.
Yeah, the Women's Leadership Circle is currently accepting baby items, gently used or new items at a variety of locations around town. They started last Monday. They'll end this Friday, the 19th, and they are collecting these items for at-risk mothers in the Bismarck-Mandan area. Next Tuesday, the 23rd, the Women's Leadership Circle committee members will all be getting together and volunteering their time at Good Shepherd to put together baby baskets for these mothers that are part of 5 agencies through United Way.
Yeah, that's so much fun. It's a great activity, and it's so important to really make sure kids are start off, on the right foot, and that mothers have that support, because it's a difficult thing. I'm a foster parent, and I know as a single person how challenging it can be to manage so many things with the new baby in your home.
Yeah, and when we were visiting with the agencies, they really let us know that they're in need of disposable items. So anything like diapers, wipes, shampoo, conditioner, anything that they use on a regular basis are the types of items that they're in need of right now, because they go through them so quickly, and a lot of the shelters in town can't keep up and carrying that stuff in stock. And so this is just one opportunity that the WLC could give back to those mothers.
So is this a chance for anyone who's interested to volunteer, or is it just specific to our women's leadership donors at United Way?
A lot of people can get involved by donating items. So if you stop by the Capitol, if you work at Choice Financial, Eide Bailey, a few other banks in town, a couple of the boutiques, Once Upon a Child, Tiny and Trendy, you can stop by any of those locations and drop off any donated items. They have bins at their locations. Or anyone can sponsor a basket for $150. We can do the buying for you and put it together and put your logo on there and say who it's from. And so those are ways that individuals and businesses in the community can get involved. However, the day of the volunteering, the Women's Leadership Circle, any of those individuals that give 500 more on their own, females, to the United Way, can join us at Good Shepherd from 9 to 11.
And it's really neat how people are joining in and supporting the cause, and how we have such a direct effect on so many people in need in our community. In fact, we had Secretary of State, Mr. Al Jaeger, and his wife, Kathy, make a kind and generous donation. So thank you, Al. And they said, it's easier for us to just, write out a check and you can go buy what you need. And so if there is anyone listening out there, you can go online today, go to MSAUnitedWay.org, and you can make a donation. You can mark or let us know that it is for the community baby shower.
Absolutely. We'd greatly appreciate it. And we're going shopping on Monday, and I know all the ladies can't go wrong with shopping and a bunch of ladies.
Well, a lot can go wrong. Let's make sure you manage the checkbook. That's there, right. Jensen. So this week, we're going to be packing up some backpacks, too.
Yeah, we had a lot of extra food from the realtors. They did a food drive back in April for us, and we are still using all of that food for the United Way Backpack Program. Couldn't be more fortunate to have such great partners that support the Backpack Program. And so we are going to be this Thursday from 1 to 2 packing backpacks at our office. If anybody is around or have kids during the summer that would like to get involved, stop by our office, 515 North 4th Street.
Yeah, it's hard to believe 1 in 10 people in North Dakota do suffer from hunger. And it's a really easy way for us to get involved, give back, and make sure we're filling a gap in the community, because these kids literally don't have food over the weekend oftentimes.
Yeah, and for $5, what an impact someone could make in those lives.
Yeah, so the United Way Backpack Program, we deliver backpacks to, I think our last weekend during school time was 527 children. And quite frankly, just last Friday, I had a call from social services for 3 children to come into my home. And 2 of the 3, they were ages 6, 7, and 10. 2 of the 3 did not even know the last time they ate. And you could really tell that they didn't know the last time they ate.
So sad.
Yeah, so sad. And the one that did just had breakfast. That's all she had. So many times, unfortunately, when kids are out of school, they're left on their own. And whether their parents are working or just unable to care for them, they're neglected and they're needing your help. And I just think it doesn't really matter what the parent's situation is, that those kids shouldn't suffer. And I think everyone believes that in our community. And the community has really taken a stand against hunger through our United Way efforts. So thank you to everyone who's listening. We appreciate it. So we have a great show for you today. We actually have Breezy Schmidt. She is a staff attorney at Legal Services of North Dakota. And then later in the program, you'll be hearing from our local homeless coalition. The United Way funded a position to bring in a full-time staff person, and it's under the statewide coalition, under the direction of Michael Carbone. We've had him as a guest here. But now we'd like to really talk with Breezy. Breezy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
For people who might not know, who maybe haven't tuned in the past, tell us what Legal Services of North Dakota provides.
What we provide free legal services to low-income and elderly North Dakotans.
Yeah, and it's just awesome. I do have to say we sure do miss your past leader, Jim Fitzsimmons. I was really shocked and really taken aback when I had heard the news that he passed away suddenly. And it doesn't seem fair, because I know he was really looking at retirement soon. And so you guys, it's good that you have such a strong team at Legal Services to be able to carry out the mission that he worked so hard to establish.
Yes, and Jim will be greatly missed.
Yeah, and he is. So Breezy, tell us what you do at Legal Services.
Well, I'm a staff attorney, and I practice in areas of civil law, but I specialize mostly in housing, doing landlord-tenant issues.
Oh, interesting. I'm sure that you are very busy with that.
Yes, extremely.
So what are some of the most common issues that you're hearing about?
Well, some of the biggest issues are usually evictions and termination of leases. Evictions are usually because of non-payment of rent or material breach of lease or holdover after termination.
And so what type of help can Legal Services provide at that point?
Well, we can provide a number of services. If people call in and complete an application, we can provide advice. We can provide representation for hearings or even extended representation over a period of time. I've had cases that have lasted over 3 years. So,
Breezy, we want to get more into this. We also want to let our listeners know how they can get in touch with you if they're facing a common concern that that you can help and assist with. Tune in just a couple minutes. We will be back. You're listening to United Way's Community Talk.
Right now, 54.
Get the app called Radio Pup for your iPhone and take us everywhere you go. Bismarck and Mandan's own Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back. My name is Jenna Gullo, the Executive Director of the Missouri Slope Area-Wide United Way. Thank you for joining us and co-hosting with me today, Ms. Amber Jensen.
Good morning, everyone.
So we're going to be talking later in the program to Cha Duggan. She is the Executive Director of the Missouri... Help me out there. Missouri
Valley Coalition for Homeless People.
There we have it. It's not the Missouri Slope Area-Wide, but for the local homeless coalition. So that's going to be fun to welcome Cha to North Dakota, because we've recruited her in. But although she's coming back home from Mandan, I believe. But now we're talking with Breezy Schmidt. Breezy is a staff attorney at Legal Services. Breezy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So give us an overview of Legal Services and the services that you provide.
So again, we're a nonprofit corporation that provides quality legal services to low-income and elderly North Dakotans in areas of civil law. Some of the areas of civil law include family law, which could be divorce, custody, or domestic violence. We do housing issues. It could be debt collection, public benefits, Social Security, Native American law, juvenile issues, unemployment, and many more.
And so which areas do you cover as far as you being a statewide organization? Where do you have offices?
We have offices in Minot, which is our central intake office. So all of our applications come in through that office via phone or internet. We have our administrative office in Bismarck. And we have 2 offices on reservations. One is in Newtown. The other is in Belcourt. We have an office in Fargo. And we have a part-time office in Grand Forks where we have one staff attorney who travels up there. I'm not sure quite how often. It might be every other week or once a month to meet with clients there.
And so you mentioned in the last segment that you specialize in housing. So what types of housing disputes are pretty common that you're working with on a daily basis?
Well, the most common ones that I see are evictions and lease terminations, but there are a lot of other ones. There are lease problems in general, so just disputes between landlords and tenants regarding anything happening. There's access and eligibility requirements that people argue about. It could be, whether or not they qualify to rent an apartment. There could be a dispute there. There's repair and quality issues. So is the heat working? The water, is there hot water? Do the windows open and close properly? Is the stove working? Those sort of issues. There's security deposit issues as far as if you've moved out, has the landlord given you an accounting of your security deposit? Have they refunded your security deposit? If they haven't, why not? There's debt repayment issues. So if an individual owes any amount of money to a public housing authority or a private landlord or even a subsidized housing program.
And so if somebody came to you and said, I need some help with the lease termination, would you charge them then when they call you?
No, our services are completely free because we are a nonprofit. We're funded through a variety of sources. We get a lot of funding from the federal government through the Legal Services Corporation, and we also get some state funds from various sources. We also get money from private foundations such as Bush and Bremer Foundation. I'm actually hired off of a Bremer Foundation grant, so thank you so much, Bremer, for that.
Yeah, Bremer Foundation is just spectacular. And the Bush Foundation as well. We need to mention that we were a finalist for the Bush Prize for Innovation with Legal Services this last year. And so congratulations to Legal Services for winning that Bush Prize.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's pretty exciting because they support up to 50% of your annual revenue through that Bush Prize. That's the biggest grant that you can receive from the Bush Foundation.
That's amazing.
It is. It is really great. So talk to us about what changes you've seen since the oil boom.
Well, to put some perspective into it, I didn't graduate from law school until 2012, and I was living in the eastern part of the state. And so I really had to play catch up when I moved back to Minot in 2012 to learn about what was really happening in the western part of the state, especially after the flood.
Wow. I'm sure you saw a lot of dramatic changes.
Very much so.
Are you from the Minot area?
Yep, I actually grew up there, and that was one reason why I wanted to go back. When I interned with Legal Services over the summer of 2011, the summer that the flood happened, seeing all of the people become homeless and all of the homes that had been abandoned and flooded was devastating to me, and I really felt like I needed to give back to my community. And so it was a wonderful opportunity for me to move back to Minot, get a job with Legal Services specializing in housing to help people with a lot of those issues.
So what are some of those issues since the oil boom, and how are they different?
Well, since the oil boom, we have actually seen the number of evictions skyrocket. I've actually done a lot of research on the dockets, and I'm working with the state to get additional information about the number of evictions that have been increasing. Now, mostly it's been in the western part of the state. There are a couple of areas like the Fargo area that has maintained its number of evictions fairly steadily. It hasn't spiked as much as the western part like Williams County has.
What do you think about, and maybe you don't know because you're based out of Minot, but what about the Bismarck-Mandan community?
I do believe that those have increased. I don't have the numbers with me, but yes, that is kind of in the area where we've seen some increases.
What do you think the reason is for so many increased evictions?
Well, I think the number one reason is rental costs. When rents have doubled and tripled, but incomes haven't necessarily increased very much because a lot of folks aren't earning oil field wages. And so they're trying to keep up on the high costs of living. And frankly, they're just not able to do it. And so in North Dakota, a landlord can evict a tenant if they haven't paid their rent for 3 days after it's due. So if you're waiting for your paycheck and it comes in 5 days and you don't have money to pay the rent right now, it doesn't matter. The landlord can evict you, and maybe your rent will be your entire paycheck.
And so in those cases, if a landlord says it's been 3 days, who do you usually represent, the landlord or the tenant in those cases?
We exclusively represent tenants. Now, we do get some funding where we advise seniors, so there may be some exceptions where we give a senior who owns a couple apartments some legal advice, but generally speaking, we only represent tenants as far as evictions and hearings and things of that nature.
What can or should be done to prevent these evictions before they even happen, before they even come to your doorstep?
Oh, there's a number of things. I think number one is education. There are no laws or mandatory requirements in North Dakota that landlords or tenants have any knowledge of what they're required to do under the law. So basically, you could decide to rent to someone but have no idea what you're supposed to be doing or how to do it. And that creates a lot of conflict. So really, that would really help tremendously. Secondly would be if people would try to get along. Some people tend to just spur arguments and try not to work it out on their own. And so if people could try to work together, that would really help too.
In other communities, there are strong landlord associations. Does that exist up in the Minot area?
Yes, it does.
And so is there any mediation at that level that
No.
agencies? No. No. But I mean, you would think that, I know in Fargo they have reserve for security deposits for certain landlords when they're renting to hard-to-place clients. And I'm wondering if that's something that maybe Cha will have more information on that we can talk about it. But if it's something that we want to look at for the Bismarck or even Western North Dakota area. So what that means is if clients damage the apartment or are back, aren't able to pay their rent, that landlord is guaranteed a certain amount of money to be, when they're taking that risk and placing that hard to rent to client.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I think we definitely need more programs out there as far as security deposits, rental assistance, anything we can do to try to help landlords get income that they need and tenants the money they need to be able to pay for the rent and the security deposits.
So are there different types of housing ownership types of programs available to those landlords?
Yes, there are a number of programs available to landlords where rent can be subsidized. There are federal programs and there are state programs. The North Dakota Housing Finance Agency has a number of different funding options available for landlords, and also so does HUD. And they've got numerous. There's public housing. There's project-based Section 8. There's individual tenant-based Section 8, which is called the Housing Choice Voucher Program, which allows landlords to get some guaranteed monies towards rent.
And have rental prices been going down recently? Have you noticed any changes there?
Well, I've read a few articles indicating that rental prices have been decreasing slightly in the western part of the state. I'm skeptical of a lot of that. If they have been decreasing, they're not decreasing much, and it's not enough to make a difference for those people that need it most. So, for example, if rent was $4,000 and it's decreased 5 to 10%, that would only decrease it to $3,800. That doesn't make a big difference for those folks where that may be their entire monthly income.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it tough when people are really pinching pennies and trying to make ends meet. We are talking with Breezy Schmidt from Legal Services of North Dakota. Thank you for tuning in today. We're going to be hearing more from Breezy, and then later we'll be talking with the new executive director of the Local Homeless Coalition. If you are out there and you have ideas for a Day of Caring project, please mark your calendar. It's August 12th, and get in touch with our United Way. You can call us at 255-3601 or like us on Facebook. We're always putting some up-to-date and interesting information on there. Join us in just a couple minutes. You're listening to United Way's Community Talk.
Right now, 54.
Get the traffic and weather information you need anytime on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.
Welcome back. My name is Jenna Gullo. I'm the Executive Director of the United Way located here in Bismarck, Mandan. If you are looking for something to do, a way to get more involved or give back, like us on Facebook, because we are always posting needs for local clients, local programs, and our community in general. We have a fantastic community baby shower that our Women's Leadership Circle will be hosting. So if you want to help to collect, sort, and put together some baskets for at-risk mothers, we're going to be doing that June 23rd. Ms. Amber Jensen, the operations manager at United Way, is leading that effort with our Women's Leadership Circle.
Yeah, so if you're available, we're going to be packing the baskets, like Jenna said, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. So stop on by. We'd love to have extra helping hands to give back to our community.
And if you'd like to have some laughs, join us on July 24th for the American Family Insurance Golf Classic. Thank you to the American Family Insurance agents. They have been doing this for a number of years and have raised a ton of money for our local community. So if you're interested, you call Terry Kraft's office right now. He's located right near the Seven Seas in Mandan, or, well, it's no longer the Seven Seas, actually.
The Baymont.
Yeah. So call Terry, talk to Chris, or talk to Christy with It's About Time, and they'll get you all signed up. They always have fantastic prizes, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, and we'll both be golfing, so there's your laugh.
Yeah, exactly. That was the point. That was the giggle part of it all. But we're also going to get our practice on
June 30th.
June 30th. North American Call is putting on their first yet annual golf event for our United Way, and it's to help raise money for the Dolly Parton Imagination Program, which is a program that we administer to many parts of North Dakota, and we're looking for local affiliates in parts of western North Dakota. We were gracious enough to be the recipient of the North Dakota Petroleum Council donation so that we can get the program started up in many small towns. So we're going to be out in Washburn on June 30th. And I know they're hoping to fill up all the teams. And Dave Straley at North American Coal says he wants everybody, even the maybe not so athletic and skilled golfers like Amber and I, to walk out with a prize. So they're going to have fantastic prizes. It's all to raise money to have Mercer, McLean, and Oliver counties have the Dolly Parton Imagination Library.
Yeah, and if you haven't been up to the Washburn course, I hear it's beautiful now that it's 18 holes. And so hopefully everyone can join us on June 30th.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions or wants to get more involved, just give our office a call. We're at 255-3601 or go online to msaunitedway.org. And one quick plug for our Day of Caring.
Yes, mark your calendars, August 12th. We're still looking for a couple more projects to get us to the $1,000 goal for number of volunteers. And so if you see a neighbor in need or a project in the Bismarck-Mandan area that could use a little helping hand, call our office, 255 3601. We'll be launching the volunteer website this Friday. Fingers crossed that everything on the IT world goes well and everybody can start registering for their projects. That will take place on August 12th.
Well, and if you're a business owner out there that happens to be tuning in, taking an early lunch, please allow your employees to be a part of this event. It's such great team building. It's great for morale. And it's also great to really be face-to-face and have that direct contact with the needs in our community. I know that many people didn't know we had a shelter for abused women, or that Welcome House was located over in Mandan. And so it's a nice opportunity to see what's really going on in our community.
Yeah, and it's a really impactful day. Last year, we saved the nonprofit community and other agencies in our community about $217,000 from 8 hours of work. And so what the power of so many people can do in one day is pretty amazing.
It really is. And a lot of the agencies that we're helping are the United Way funded agencies, although it's not exclusively United Way programs. We help anyone in the community that's in need of assistance. But Legal Services of North Dakota is one of our fantastic, long, traditional, historic partners. Breezy Schmidt is here talking with us about many of the services that they provide throughout all of North Dakota. Breezy, thanks for joining us, and thanks for dedicating your career to helping others.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it. There's so much need out there. Breezy, before we forget, how do people who may be in need of your services get in touch with you?
Well, there's two main ways. There's three total ways. They can come to one of our offices in person and do an application. But really, we recommend that people call us and do an application through our central intake office. And that phone number is 1-800-634-5263, and that's if you're ages 60 and younger. If you're ages 60 and older, you'd want to call 1-866-621-9886. And the other way is that we have an online application accessible on our website, which is www.legalassist.org.
www.legalassist.org. We'll also be putting those phone numbers on our Facebook page, so make sure you like us at Facebook.com/MSAU Way. So Breezy, over break we were talking about issues when tenants live in mobile homes. And talk to us about a story you were sharing.
Well, a couple of years ago, I had a tenant who, to this day, still has a soft spot in my heart. It was an elderly couple, and their landlord up in Minot, North Dakota, decided to terminate their lease. They were month to month, and so the landlord didn't have to have a reason. There had been some minor disputes between the tenant and the landlord previously. I think it may have been more or less personal issues as to why the landlord decided to terminate, but that's all speculation. Essentially, they gave them notice and said, you have a calendar's month to be out. Well, in this situation, and in most people's situation, when they live in mobile homes, they own the mobile home, but they rent the lot. And currently in North Dakota, there are very few lots available. And so really, there's nowhere to take a mobile home to. And also, the older the mobile home is, the harder it is to move, the harder it is to sell. And so my clients were in a position where essentially they couldn't sell it because of its age and its quality, and they couldn't move it either because they didn't have money to move it. It can be very expensive to move a mobile home. And so really they were looking at losing their home and their largest asset and becoming homeless. And this individual actually had some disabilities. He was in a wheelchair, he was on oxygen, and there was no way he'd make it being homeless. Nowhere to plug in his oxygen machine. It just absolutely impossible. They would not survive. And so what we did was we actually sued the landlord in federal court under Section 1983 because the landlord went and put a lien on the mobile home. So essentially they slapped a piece of paper on the trailer and said, if you don't pay me X amount within 30 days, we're taking your mobile home. And so we argued that that was unconstitutional amongst a few other things. And We didn't get a decision on the merits from the federal court. However, the judge did indicate that he clearly disagreed with that particular law, which is a mobile home lien under the Century Code. And he did award my clients relief. They did get the value of their mobile home in damages, and Legal Services was awarded attorney's fees. And the landlord did end up having to pay all of that out, and they did. And my client was able to get into public housing in Minot. Thank goodness he did not become homeless. And he was able to use some of those funds for necessary medical equipment. And so it ended up being a really great story. But people are still struggling with this issue all over the state. I see people every day having problems with mobile homes, with liens. And so it is an issue that we're going to continue to prosecute if the need should arise, if we get clients that come to us with those problems. So I would really, I guess, encourage people, if they're having those issues, to seek some assistance.
And so are you seeing the mobile home lots increase as quickly as, say, an apartment would?
Well, that is a fantastic question. We actually have some cases out in the Williston area where rents went from $300 to $850 in 1 month.
Just for the lot?
Just for the lot. That doesn't include the mobile home. And so they were also wanting people to move in nicer, newer mobile homes. Mm-hmm. And so people were getting evicted for non-payment of rent, or they were having their trailers pulled out, and they were bringing in these new ones. Well, when they're renting the lots and the mobile homes, we're talking rent $2,500, $3,000 plus to live in a mobile home, mm-hmm. which is supposed to be more affordable.
In Breezy, we were talking on break about how many of your clients do become homeless, and tell us about the client that we had been talking about.
Oh, yes. We were referring to one of my clients who was in public housing, and unfortunately he fell behind in his rent and wasn't complying with some of the lease requirements. And we got involved to try to assist him, if possible, with representing him at a termination hearing. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get a successful outcome for him, but this particular individual had some diminished capacity and wasn't able to really hold a job, wasn't really able to make it on his own, and he was terminated because he owed the housing authority over $10,000. Oh. And unfortunately, I'm not sure where this individual went, but he may have become homeless like so many of my other clients. And when I say homeless, it could be couch surfing. It could be staying with a friend. It could be staying with family, because the way we look at homelessness in North Dakota is different than the way we look at it in California, because it gets really cold here in the winter time. Yeah. And so nobody's going to be sleeping outside when it's 30 below.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Breezy, thank you for all of your work. If there are landlords who have questions, are they able to call you?
Well, they can try calling. The only way they could really get advice from us is if they're ages 60 and over, and it also depends on, whether or not they're eligible for our services, depending on, all of their factors. We have quite an extensive application. It only takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete.
Yeah, absolutely. So working together, we can prevent homelessness. We can make sure people's rights are defended. Thank you for everything you do at Legal Services. We've been talking with Breezy Schmidt, and we are going to be talking more about the issue of homelessness. Come back just a couple minutes. We'll have Cha Duggan from the local Homeless Coalition. See you in just a few.
Right now, 54 degrees.
Sean Hannity, weekdays at 2, only on Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back. My name is Jenna Gullo. I am the Executive Director of the Missouri Slope Area-Wide United Way. Thank you so much for joining us. You can find us here every other Tuesday from 11 to 12. A special thank you to Jim Walsh, Town Square Media, and Super Talk 1270 for donating this airtime. Co-hosting with me today is Ms. Amber Jensen, the Operations Manager at the United Way.
Good morning, afternoon, everyone. Hope you're staying dry on this rainy day.
Amber, you are currently looking to fill a position at our United Way, and why should we not brag about ourselves here on air when we have the time? We're looking for an administrative coordinator.
Yeah, if anybody that loves to be with people, really friendly, outgoing, someone that can be at our front office at all times, as well as help with data entry. So we're looking for someone that's really detailed oriented, maybe has some financial background to really help and bring our office to the next level. We continue to grow at our office, and so this is just one more position that we can add to our team to really make sure we're at that level and operating at the best that we can be. And so we're excited to have this continued growth.
Yeah, and so people can send their resume to Amber at marketing@msaunitedway.org. And we do strongly invest in development of our people. Amber, you've been at 3 different United Way Worldwide trainings out of state.
Yeah, when I first started in the first, I would say 6 months, I got to go to Washington, D.C. for the United Way Worldwide Conference, and then got to go again and experience that again in Dallas this last April. And then in February, since our Women's Leadership Circle has really just taken off this year and continued to grow, I got to attend the United Way Worldwide Women's Leadership Circle and see what other United Ways are doing in the realm of women engagement and rallying people around issues. And here locally, we picked elementary successes. And so it's just been really great to learn from other United Ways, whether they're in the Twin Cities or a similar size of our United Way. It's great to learn from others.
Well, and just to rub shoulders with the brightest and the best, leadership in Bismarck-Mandan is, I think, the best thing we have to offer at our United Way. The Women's Leadership Circle is devoted philanthropists in our community that not just talk about wanting to help, but they actually roll their sleeves up and create programs like our United Way backpack program, making sure kids get fed over the weekend. And you were very instrumental in starting our Adopt Classroom program.
Yeah, the Women's Leadership Circle went every second and fourth Tuesday to Saxvig Elementary from 11 to 1, and we got to read with kids, go out to recess, have lunch, and just be a mentor to these individuals and these kiddos in the classrooms. And sometimes it might be the only positive interaction that they have that day besides the teacher, and just having someone from the outside come in and really just take time to get to know the kids. It was really impactful.
Yeah, and we definitely want to have an admin coordinator recruited and started before our Day of Caring, which is August 12th. So if you're interested or you know someone who, like Amber said, is really good with people, makes our donors feel like $1 million, because they're really the base, the strong foundation of everything that we do and live at our United Way. Send your resume in. Send it to marketing@msaunitedway.org. And Amber has since been promoted. You are now our operations manager. You've been going through a lot of HR training, and now you're even a co-host on Super Talk 1270. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
So, with that being said, we'll go on to our show. We do have a very interesting guest, Cha Duggan. Thank you so much for coming back to Mandan. You were recruited from, I believe, Alabama was your last location, and you're the head of our homeless coalition locally. Thanks so much for being with us, Cha.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so what do you think about being back? How long have you been back in the area? You're originally from Mandan, right?
Yes, I grew up in Mandan, and I've been gone for about a decade. We're actually having the 10-year reunion of Mandan High this summer, and I don't know anything about it, but I've heard through the grapevine it is, in fact, happening.
It is. Sarah Mack is Dr. Steve Chuppy's daughter. She's on our steering committee for our Women's Leadership Circle.
Oh, excellent.
And she's planning it, and I think she's trying to get Terry Kraft's daughter on board as well. I think Tara.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you know those young ladies? Oh, I don't know. 10. Well, they maybe went to Bismarck.
Yeah, I'm not really quite
Tara
sure.
went to Mandan. Yeah, they did. St. Mary's, probably.
Got to get my yearbook.
Wow. So, 10 years away. What do you think of all the changes that you're seeing?
It's been a lot. Wow. The communities have grown so much population-wise, and just business is booming at every level. The economy's clearly different than when I left, and it's just sort of like a really all-new community, other than I don't really need my GPS to get around here anymore.
Although there's so many new housing developments, you might.
Oh, exactly. If somebody invites me out to one of those for a dinner party or something, I will definitely need to get the Google.
So, at United Way, we've been really racking our minds trying to identify what is the most effective way to invest in social services in our community so that we're not just throwing money at issues, but we're targeting solutions. And that's why we approached the statewide homeless coalition, because we were struggling with making sure we raise the bar in our nonprofit sector and making sure that we're equipping the local providers, particularly for the homeless, to help build with the tools they need, help to build their capacity. And the Bremer Foundation has been a big part of that. We've been providing a lot of trainings, which we definitely want to invite you to, on outcome measurement, tracking data, financial management, even time management. So what is your perception? And the reason I say this is because that's why we approached Michael Carbone to offer funding for a coalition staff member. And you are that employee for the coalition. And so first of all, thank you. I think you're doing a great job. I know that you've been listening and learning, but what are your insights into the local coalition?
Well, I'd really like to get the different organizations sort of seamlessly working together and very knowledgeable about what each other can do, as just to make referring a lot more seamless, sort of, as well as just they've had this influx of a lot more folks that they're working with the boom. So to get them sort of up to the level that they need to be, the rush of people that has come in, I think a lot of these organizations are still adjusting to. So to start the process of getting referrals sort of down pat, as well as the just communication between everybody, which the North Dakota Coalition as a whole is doing on a state level with the CARES program.
And so can you explain a little bit more about the CARES program and what services are running right now in the Bismarck-Mandan area?
Well, the thing that is really important is that there is a broad spectrum of homelessness in Bismarck-Mandan, and there are a few gaps in services, but mostly every demographic of person that needs housing in some way can be helped here.
Isn't that wonderful and great to learn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It would be very helpful if we had a little bit more housing options for, say, single women without children. Mm-hmm. But as far as folks dealing with domestic violence situations, there's a solution for that. For homeless single men, there's a solution for that. For family housing, there is a solution for that. So it's really great that, considering the state that a lot of people think homelessness is in this area, a lot of folks would say, it's funny, when I mention that I work for the Missouri Valley Coalition for Homeless People, I get the same response from any kind of person. It's either, homelessness isn't a problem in Bismarck-Mandan, very sarcastic sort of, or it is, oh yeah, homelessness is a problem in Bismarck-Mandan. It just depends on which side of the fence that you're sitting, the way you deliver it. And so it's very interesting to encounter that. And the work that we're going to be trying to do soon is to get a lot of advocacy going and education.
What do you think is the most important thing our listeners need to know?
That there is a population of homeless people in the Missouri Valley region that needs to be taken note of and be taken seriously. That work needs to be done around this. And our organizations are doing good things, but more can be done.
Yeah, absolutely. Where can people find you, Cha?
We've got a Facebook page, Missouri Valley Coalition for Homeless People. And then we've also got mvchp.org is our new website.
Cha, Duggan, from the Local Homeless Coalition. Thank you so much for joining us and coming back to our great state of North Dakota. Thank you to all of our listeners out there. Please sign up for our annual Day of Caring. It's August 12th. Golf with us, American Family Golf Classic in July, and that's July 24th, and the North American Coal up in Washburn on June 30th. Or just get involved. Help us pack some backpacks for kids who would otherwise go hungry. Contact us at United Way or like us on Facebook. Thank you, Town Square Media, and join us again in 2 weeks. United Way's Community Talk.